Hey, welcome to the download. What'll it be? Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Lowdown at the Down Low. For those who are just joining us, this is a show where we get up close and personal with the multi-talented cast and crew of the audio series Heroes of Extinction. I'm your host, Jason Braden, and today on our show, we have the distinct honor to be in the presence of a brilliant mind and a talented voice actor, Mr. Fun Fact himself, Josh Shaffer. Welcome, Josh.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Thank you for being on the show. So tell me what you do for your real world job, and then tell me why you have this Disney nickname.
All right, so for my job in real life, I am a grade setter for a union, and I work in construction. So what I do is I take GPS equipment and lasers, and I set elevation to build house pads or roads, or like my current project I'm working on, we're enlarging the Sassoon landfill for Petro Hills so that they have more place to dump garbage. So
Wow.
we're moving tons and tons and tons of dirt, and by tons I mean there's 8 scrapers running for weeks now, and they hold like 27 cubic tons or something, and we're moving whole hillsides, and we're taking it all down, making it smooth. They're going to put plastic liner on it to catch garbage juices. And
Well, when you're not digging in dirt all day, what else are you doing for a living?
Well, I've written 2 books about Disney history, primarily Disneyland. My first one came out in 2010. Second one came out in 2017 at the D23 Expo.
Congratulations.
And thank you.
Yes.
Second one, I spent 7 years writing, and
Wow.
it's 700 pages.
Woo.
And it has been called the Disney Bible because it's basically an encyclopedia of everything Disney, and it has 3,700 fun facts in it about the Disneyland Resort and Disney movies. It's
Wow.
a lot to read. It doesn't read like a novel. Like if you need to look up a movie or an attraction, that's how you would read it.
Let's jump over to how you got involved with Heroes of Extinction. Like, how did you meet Jerry for the first time, or Andrew maybe? I'm guessing, and I'm sure we've talked about this, but let's let everybody else know that I'm sure it was probably at a convention where you were there selling your book and they were there selling their stuff, and one thing led to another. But tell it in your way.
Well, I had this annoying guy next to me in his booth. I'm just kidding. Jerry's cool. He's selling documentary DVDs about Disney attractions, and his booth is right next to mine. And I'm selling a book about Disney history. And so his is like videos of like my book, and my book is like book stuff that he has in his videos. So they go very well together. And so we became instant friends. And this was November 2015. And yeah, I met up with him a couple months later at a restaurant down in Southern California, because I was going to, I think, Disneyana, like in February or June or something. And then he interviewed me that year to be in one of his documentaries, the Enchanted Secrets of Disneyland, Volume 1, where I talked about the invention of Doritos in Disneyland.
Oh.
And yeah.
You were approached to be a voice in the show. Now, are you just one character, or have you done more than one character? Because I know there's many people, like myself included, who have done more than one character in Heroes of Extinction. Why don't you talk a little bit about the character you play, or characters?
So I play like fill-in characters. So like ones I have small roles, I'm not a main character. So I've voiced a lab tech, I've voiced a kidnapper, a police officer, a medical personnel. And my big part was voicing this character named Keith, and he is a college student, and somebody experimented on him and turned him into what we call the Repzilliard, which is a giant mutant lizard. And so then I did the voice of this mutant lizard, and he sounds like this, and he's very creepy. And yeah, I did both Keith and then when he turned into a lizard.
And Jerry, I'm guessing, approached you at some point during one of these conventions to say, hey, I got this show that I'm working on. Do you do voice acting as well as fun facts? Is that kind of how it happened?
I've always wanted to get into voice acting for years. I actually did a bunch of ringtones for this website called Bone Zoo and it was pre-smartphones because you can't download them to smartphones now. But I had over 10,000 downloads of my ringtones and text tones that I did.
No kidding.
With different characters. Yeah. I was amazed. I'd go in and check, and then all of a sudden the website was down. It was no longer a website because smartphones picked up, and I was like, oh, that's so sad. No, Jerry called me. So Jerry and I talk every once in a while, and he said, we have this idea for an audio show, and we want you to be a part of it. And I was like, heck yeah, I'm in. And they wanted somebody to also do like marketing things, because I designed Disney fantasy pins, which are pins that are made by fans, and we can design them however we want to for whatever fans want to have. So like I have some Stitch pins that are crossed over with Harry Potter, which is something that Disney would never do. And I made pins for Heroes of Extinction and stickers, and I put this stuff up on IMDb so that they know we exist, and Wikipedia, I can add things to Wikipedia, and that's what I do. He bounces ideas off of me also because I love movies. I don't know if you know this. I have 9,800 movies in my collection. So I'm really into movies, and I've seen a lot of superhero movies. Like Superman was my favorite. I have a Superman tattoo, and I'm huge into the MCU films. So I've seen a lot of superhero things, and Heroes of Extinction is basically a comic book that's an audio show. Yep. And so perfect. And I can like, hey, they did this thing in a certain show. We can do something like that type of a deal, and then say the name of the show so you can look it up.
Yeah, it's perfect because I mean you're the reason why I'm even on IMDb nowadays. So thank you for that as well.
You're welcome.
And if you guys ever want to know like where to find it, go to IMDb and look up Heroes of Extinction. You will find the page. It's not out yet, but it's getting there. It'll be there very soon. I'm hoping, patiently waiting. I know there's a fan base for us already, both domestically and internationally, after speaking to a few other people.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we've been working on this for a while. I was working at an old job years ago, and they wanted to start this as a project to do because of lockdown. Everybody was at home, and I was working at a refinery then, and we had a script read one time, and it's very loud at a refinery. And so I went to the very top tower. I had to go up 180 stairs to this top tower and put my earphone in so I could listen to them do the script read, because I didn't have the script with me. And so I just watched them all on the call with my side muted because it was really loud, and then was just like listening along to the Zoom call 180 steps up in the air. I think it was like...
That must have been one of the first or second ones that I wasn't a part, because I came in a little bit late, either on the second or the third.
Yeah, this would have been...
what do you call it? Table read. Got tongue-tied.
This was September 2020.
Okay, yeah, I think that was just before, because I think I first met Jerry in the beginning of 2021.
Okay, yeah. So
yeah, and that's when I started jumping in on the table reads and doing. I was actually kind of like a stand-in person to read lines for a while until they could figure out which character they wanted me to play. And
okay, I remember that.
Along comes this guy named Chuck, and the rest is history. So let's go ahead and talk a little bit more about your character, the one that everybody's going to be talking about, the Repzilliard. We do have a little bit of a clip, and it's the first time that this monstrosity is released on the public. Can you set the scene up a little bit and tell us what we're about ready to listen to?
So Keith is in college, and he is walking with his friends. I believe it was to go to the cafeteria. And he's like, oh, wait, guys, I forgot something at my in my room. And he went back, and then they never saw him again. And then all of a sudden, later on, this mutant shows up, and it's after he had been mutated, but nobody knew it was him.
And that's so, part of the big story, which
yes.
I know everybody's wondering, like, well, how did he change into a mutant? Well, that we're going to kind of leave that, I think. I know we were told it was probably okay to talk about it, but I think we want to leave people hanging a little bit and give them a taste of it. Yeah.
Yeah, experiments. Yeah, and that's how he was created. And
college kids need money, so they're like, "Hey, come and test this new thing," and Keith regrets it afterwards, right?
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and introduce the clip, and let's see what we're talking about here. Let's go ahead and roll it.
A piercing scream cuts through the tension, and they look up in the direction of the sound. A transformed Keith stands on the roof of the building nearest Janessa. Half human, half reptile, he jumps off and quickly scales the wall down to the ground, a long spear held in his tail.
What the hell? Is that one of your friends?
I don't know what that is.
The newly transformed Keith opens his large deformed mouth, and a snake's tongue shoots out and flicks a goopy liquid toward the two. It hits Janessa on the back of the neck, and she stumbles forward, falling face down.
Oh, did I hurt your little girlfriend? Don't worry. She's not dead yet.
The reptile mutant advances at lightning speed with his spear raised. Just as he is about to impale Janessa with it, Fractus summons a force field and blasts the mutant backwards. The monster hits the wall and drops his spear. Fractus hurries over to Janessa, who is violently convulsing and unresponsive, a reaction to the mutant's venom. He picks her up and glances back at the mutant, just as his lizard-shaped mouth opens. Without thinking, Fractus erects a force field around him and Janessa, successfully deflecting the goopy toxin.
Time to go old school.
He punches into the ground, creating a crack in the asphalt, barreling toward the spot where the mutant stands. The reptilian monstrosity attempts to leap over the crack, but is knocked off balance and yelps as one leg is caught in the split. Taking advantage of the distraction, Fractus lifts Janessa over his shoulder and begins to run away, but stumbles as the mutant catches his ankle with his forked tongue and yanks him off his feet.
That was stupid. Now, you're gonna burn.
Wow, that was pretty cool. So
Right.
I know it's not. I mean, when you think about a lizard monster, you're obviously going to think of like hissing noises and a little bit of, kind of getting that little lispy sort of talk in there. But like, have you ever like practiced being a monster? Like when you're a kid, when you're a kid, everybody wants to be like a monster and they want to pretend and stuff like that. Did you have to practice for this a lot, or was it just more of a, oh no, I know exactly what this thing needs to sound like?
So when I found out I was going to do that, I was practicing like during my commute to work, and I would talk in different voices while I'm driving. And then I would send myself an audio clip of it on my digital recorder to remind myself of what it sounded like so that I wouldn't forget. And I got the idea for that from Jim Dale, the actor who narrated all of the Harry Potter books, because he would record himself on cassettes for the different characters, because he started recording in the late 90s and they didn't have like digital things yet. And so I'm like, oh, I should do that so that I don't forget what I wanted
What it sounds like.
character to sound like. Yeah. So then when I recorded it, I sent it to Jerry with different versions of it, like different takes. So I'd go deeper or more winded or stretching out my words so it sounded like it had to travel up, like a longer throat because it's a big creature.
Right.
The one
I want to play a monster. I can't help myself. So Jerry, if you're listening, I want to play a monster in an upcoming series. It's just so much fun. It's just so much fun, to growl and be like scary and to really like project something that it's not you, obviously.
Well,
but,
it's more of a cartoon character. I would think it'd be more interesting to play cartoony things, but Heroes of Extinction is more of a drama. So like, this is real. People sound like this. Mutant Lizard would sound like this versus like, Stitch from Lilo and Stitch. Like, we're not going to have cartoony little things in there. And those are the voices that are like, oh, this is fun to sound like, this little cartoon character. These are like actual people's voices, except for the Mutant Lizard. Other than that.
You got something wrong with Stitch?
I don't. It's my favorite.
Excellent. 2 Stitch character impersonations in a row, everybody. Let's give ourselves a round of applause.
Yay, Stitch.
So what else have you done for Jerry? I know that you're involved in a lot of other projects with him, not just because you guys met at the conventions and everything like that. I know you had your own stuff before you met him, but he's also asked you to do, I know, interviews for some of his DVDs. Can you share a little bit of those kind of things that you've done with him?
Yeah, so aside from the Enchanted Secrets of Disneyland, I did the pin trading documentary that he did, was the history of pin trading in Disneyland. And I talked about fantasy pins, and I showed some of my pin designs in it. And I was also in the Land series, New Orleans Square. And I talked about some of the fun facts of New Orleans Square. And somebody else was in that with me.
I wonder who. I was really pleased when I watched it to see that we had actually collaborated on something that I knew I was doing it when I saw the script, but I didn't know until that time. And I'm like, oh, look, Josh is going to be in this and we'll get to work together. But the crazy thing is, and I've mentioned this many times before, is that even in something like that and Heroes of Extinction, even though that we will get together on these Zoom calls for table reads and we're all reading together to get an idea of how everybody sounds and what they should emote in certain areas, we're not in the same, we're in different cities, we're in different states, different time zones,
Yeah.
And it's just amazing how all this stuff just kind of comes together from just a bunch of random audio clips into a whole story. And I think it's something that we're just all excited about. And I think I know you've heard at least episode 1 and 2 because you listened to them at the cons, right?
Yeah, yes,
there
but I've
and
heard
offline as well.
3. I think he edited
you heard 3 as well.
down. It was a rough edit, and I got to hear that. I've listened to those 3 twice.
And what do you
exciting.
think people are going to be like? Do you think they're going to be excited about this? Do you think I honestly feel like there's a big fan base waiting for this, and everything that I've heard so far between what Andrew has mentioned in his interview, where he's even heard of people that are aware of this out in the UK at this point, and we haven't even done a panel in the UK. We just had little cards with a URL to give it away for like the very first episode, so people can hear what's coming.
Yes.
But the fact that it's gotten that far tells me that I think this is going to be big. I mean, what do you think?
Oh, I think so too. It's listening to audio is a new thing. I mean, podcasts have been around for what, 14, 15 years. It's kind of like listening to podcast episodes that are like 40 minutes long, but they're different actors doing voices, there's sound effects, there's music, and it's a lot like a 1940s radio show. Remember when the family used to gather around in the living room listening to the radio because TVs weren't invented yet?
Right.
That's what it reminds me of, those old radio shows.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to be exciting. And I just listened to one on Audible, and it was just like what we're doing. I mean, it's a totally different story, but it was multiple episodes, characters, sound effects, music. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is exactly what we're going to be sounding like. And it worked out perfectly to listen to all the episodes in a row, like it's one long movie, except, it's multiple hours. It's perfect. I like it.
And you can do it anywhere too. That's the great thing. The
community.
Podcasts and audio shows, they're available as long as you got a smartphone. You can listen to it anywhere.
Yeah, if you're getting yelled at by your mother-in-law, you can just put an earbud in, listen to the...
Is there a story behind that?
No. Okay. I like my mother-in-law.
Okay. Fun fact, Josh likes his mother-in-law. I hope she's listening to this one. So you mentioned that you were in some interviews for some DVDs that Jerry's done. What about other, I mean, I think you're going to be in some upcoming shows as well. I know you and I are both kind of in the spotlight for some upcoming shows. What do you got in the works here?
So there's one called Dark Park, and I play some characters in that, which I recently heard a clip of, and I'm super excited because it's just my audio going to Jerry, multiple takes on a character, and then he puts it in tracks with music and sound effects and the other actors, and I'm like, wow, it sounds like so cool.
Off the port bow! In the deep! Protect the princess! 2 arms! 2 arms! Captain Bill! The Kraken has got the princess!
Stand fast and protect the ship, men! I'll save the princess!
Help me, Captain Bill! It's got me! You're the only one who can save me!
I'll save you! I'm almost there! I won't let this monster take you! The creature has me!
And I'm doing another show called Extinguished Worlds. I'm not sure who I'm playing in that yet, but I'm going to be in that. And then any other projects he has, he'll fit me in where he wants to. He just lets me know, hey, you're going to play this character. and I usually find out when we're doing our script read.
Yep. And it's coming too. I know it's coming, but I also know that there's still some casting stuff being worked out, at least at this point. But it's getting close, and I'm really excited about that one. It's got a great story. We've got a lot of great talent, just like this show, Heroes of Extinction, and I can't wait to see what comes of it. There's just some really exciting things happening on the horizon.
Oh yeah, and the reason why we're working on multiple shows at once is because you want to release one and then shortly after that release another show, and shortly after that another one. Not, hey, we're done with this show, let's start on the next one. You have to wait a year and a half to get all the episodes in, because all these actors are doing this stuff on their own time, when they can get in to record and send the audio, and when we can all meet up for script reads, which sometimes gets rescheduled a lot because something comes up for some of the main characters. So it can be tough, and we were able to fit all that stuff in.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's been fun, and I'm looking forward to doing more.
It is hard to get a lot of those. I mean, a lot of the main characters together all at once to do this just in one read and everything. I think that's the reason why that I actually played a lot of the backup reading for a lot of the other characters, throughout the table reads. But I had fun, even though I didn't actually end up playing a lot of the characters that I read for, it was still a lot of fun.
Oh,
just
yeah.
A lot of fun just pretending to be these other characters and reading with all these other people and hearing how great they were. This whole project has been just such a roller coaster of excitement, ever since I jumped on board with it. And I can't wait to hear what it sounds like.
Well, I mean, if each episode has like 15 characters in it, that's 15 actors send multiple takes of their each line to Jerry. Jerry has to listen to all of them, figure out which ones fit better with the other actor who's acting with them, then find sound effects for everything, then have the music composed for all of those, and put them all in together for 40 minutes or longer or shorter. They're all going to be around the same time. And just it takes a long time to do stuff like that. Like when I edit, because I do a podcast for his website called Do You Like Fun Facts? And I talk about different attractions, and I will record easy an hour and a half, because sometimes I make mistakes, and he will edit it down to fit properly. I edit out all of my mistakes and I send it to him. He edits in like all of the music, and sometimes he puts in clips with interviews with Disney Imagineers and stuff like that. But it takes a lot of time, because I know after I record for an hour and a half, it'll then take 5 hours to edit that down. And that's just me cropping out my mistakes.
It's a lot of audio to scrub through.
Oh yeah. And it's not like in a video where you can like drag the bar across until you see the actors change and know where you have to be. It's audio. It's just like volume bars up and down. You have to listen to it.
Yep. Well aware. Do the same thing myself. And it's time consuming. It really is. I mean, I don't know if people are really aware that are not as much into audio recording as, say like what you and I have done, or even Jerry for that matter, obviously, or Andrew, because I know he's edited a few episodes as well and continues to do so. But it's a lot to pull together.
It is.
And it takes a certain level of organization. You got to name audio files so that you know which character is being inserted where and what music is being played where, and the sound effect that needs to be inserted at a certain point based on what the script reads. And it's a lot to go through. But everything that I've heard so far is I get chills every time that I think about it, because it's like, I can't wait to say like, okay, we did this, we're done and we finished it, and here it is. And because I know I've been teasing this a lot with my family and my friends and my coworkers, and they're like, when is it coming out? When is it coming out? And I'm like, soon. That's all I can say. Soon. It'll be here. It just takes a lot to pull this stuff together, and it'll be well worth the wait, I think. All right, so we're kind of getting close to the end of our little show here. If you want to just take any time at this particular point to talk about anything that you want to promote.
Oh, yeah.
Any shows that you're coming up at, or anything that you like, you said I think you're working on another new book. If you wanted to talk about that, what would you like to say?
I did forget to say that I also have written articles for Jerry's magazine, Theme Parkology magazine.
Okay.
And I have been in, I think, six issues of that. So like I have done work there. Oh, another thing I do on the side, actually the week I met Jerry, I also got a random email from a woman named Gina Rock. And she emailed me to ask me how I knew that she was Tinkerbell in Disneyland. Not just the Tinkerbell that is a meet and greet, the Tinkerbell that flew across the castle for the fireworks. And I was like, well, I'm a Disney historian, and I read that you were the Tinkerbell. And she's like, oh, yeah, that was me. Hey, I want you to write an article about what I'm doing now. And I was like, okay. So I interviewed her, and she flew as Tinkerbell from 1983 to 2005. And then she hung up her wand, passed on the wings to another Tinkerbell. And she started working in disaster recovery, and her company would contract with FEMA. And the first disaster she went to was Hurricane Katrina. And
wow.
She's been all over. She's been in like 35 states across the U.S. now. But I wrote this article, and it was published in the Disneyana newsletter. And then that following summer in 2016, she's like, I want you to be my manager. And I'm like, how do you do that?
Wow.
Because she also used to run her own talent agency in the 80s, and she would book talent for Disney for different events in the 80s and 90s. So like when Aladdin came out and they had the premiere, they had like VIP and CEO events, and they would have like jugglers and sword swallowers and magicians, and she would book all these people for these acts. And she used to be in the circus, so she knows a lot of aerialists, and she was an aerialist in Circus and Ringling Brothers. She's got a huge history. But I created her website, and I sell her autographs for her, and I get her on podcasts, get interviews, and I do all the Tinkerbell stuff for her. And I still do today. That takes time also.
You have many hats, sir.
I do. I hardly have time for anything else.
It seems like it. But I know that you're married, and I know that, you got to spend time with your wife, because you got to keep her happy on the side too.
Yes. Luckily, she's self-sufficient with a lot of things, and I don't have to like entertain her. So she does stay busy. She's a personal trainer, and she's working on extra certification for her training. And we find time to do things. We go on walks. We just got back from Hawaii. We go out to dinner. We just spend time together. She makes dinner, and we watch TV shows and stuff.
That's
my main focus time for writing is like my day off, which is only Sunday right now because we're really busy in construction during the summer, and I'm working 11-hour days during the week and 8 hours on Saturday. So night times is when I spend with her. Sunday is we go to church, and then I come home and I spend time writing, unless we actually plan something to do.
So, and what if anybody wants to get a hold of you on social media? Do you have anything on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, anything like that?
So I am on social medias, and you can find all of those on my website, which is www.disneyguy.org. So disneyguy.org. And just go down the page. I have a link to Terry Hardin's list of things that she's done, my pins, my books. It talks about my future book trilogy that's coming out, how many fun facts have been written so far, 70,800. It's a lot of fun facts. Oh yeah, no, it's a lot. It's close to like 450,000 words. It's 951 pages. That's all together.
You can talk, so
yeah. So I'm writing it all as one big book, and then I'm dividing it into threes because I'll learn fun facts, and I want to have, if there's fun facts that are similar to each other, I want them in different books so that it doesn't sound like, oh, well, that's kind of like this one, but you're talking about here. I'll just put that in a different book. Or if they are related, where they should be one after the other, then I could make sure those are in the same volume together too.
So the website actually has what I think was one of the first questions at the beginning of this interview, which will wrap it up perfectly, that people just call you Disney because you're the Disney guy.
I'm the Disney guy. It says it on the back of my car.
Yeah.
Disneyguy.org.
Perfect. All right. Well, that's about all the time that we have for today's episode. Josh, thanks again. It sounds like you're super busy, but I appreciate you taking the time out of your day to talk with us for a little bit. This was a lot of fun. This was very informal, informational, and I hope that a lot of people have come away from this particular show learning a little bit more about our show and even some new fun facts they didn't even know, right?
Yes.
Right.
Hopefully.
More to come. All right, so everybody, once again, I'm your host, Jason Braden, signing off and hoping that you'll come back for another episode of Lowdown at the Down Low. See you next time. Ciao.
All great stories begin with adventurous ideas.